We're gathered today to celebrate. The City Council just voted to reject efforts to put a divisive anti-immigrant question on the ballot. This is a victory for immigrant communities in Chicago that protects our city's welcoming policies and our city's welcoming value. Welcoming policies like the Welcoming City Ordinance protect immigrant families from deportation and have a long history across multiple mayoral administrations, dating back to Mayor Howard Washington. May he rest in peace. Welcoming values reflect our history as a city of immigrants, whether from elsewhere in the country or across the world. Both our policies and our values are worth defending, and today the members of City Council joined our communities in affirming welcoming values and upholding welcoming policies. The road to get here was not easy. We all know that, but we knew it was worth fighting for. We also know that this fight is not over. Anti-immigrant older people can still attempt to repeal the Welcoming City Ordinance, and they can still attempt to put a divisive ballot question before voters. But today, we showed that we are ready to fight back. Today, we'll hear from Chicago leaders and older people about how we got here, why it's important that we organize to stop these questions, and how we plan on moving forward together in support of policies that lift up all communities. Now I'd like to introduce Esmeralda from the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council to share some background on the Welcoming City Ordinance.
Thank you, Fasika. Hello, my name is Esmeralda Larcon, and I am a leader with the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council. Welcoming policies have been law in Chicago dating back to the Harold Washington administration, and welcoming values are at the heart of the city's very existence, dating back to our founding by Haitian immigrant Jean-Baptiste Dusable. When former President Trump tried to implement his anti-immigrant policies by threatening our federal grants, announcing immigration sweeps, and intimidating immigrant communities, we pushed back hard and we won. Yeah, I think we could cheer for that. Here in Chicago in 2021, ICER members, including BPNC and allies, came together to organize and win a campaign to strengthen the protections in the Welcoming City Ordinance. Now, Texas Governor Abbott is using welcoming policies like Chicago's as an excuse to create a crisis in our city by sending busloads of migrants here without any notice or coordination. This right-wing attack has provided cover for some alder people, such as Alderman Lopez, who historically opposed the city's welcoming ordinance. In the face of serious challenges, Alderman Lopez offered no solutions. Instead, he attempted to use the crisis to undermine our city's welcoming ordinance. He lied to the Black community, saying he would support reparations 1 month and then voted it down in the city budget the next month. He claimed this was a call for democracy, but then rejected adding a question on the ballot about homelessness prevention that would lift up all in Chicago, and instead supported needlessly punching down on those who are only seeking safety and opportunity in our city. But today, Alderman Lopez's harmful agenda failed. Yeah. It failed because ICER members do what we do best. We brought together our members from all parts of the city, along with allies like Mi Gente and Black-lit organizations like SOUL, the People's Lobby, Workers Center for Racial Justice, and labor organizations representing Black and brown workers throughout the city. Yeah. We organized together and used our collective power to push our alders and the mayor to do the right thing, just like we did in 2021 when we strengthened the Welcoming City Ordinance. We reminded the City Council, through the amazing leadership of United African Organizations and Chicago's Haitian community, that immigration is a Black issue too, and that accepting division sets us all back in our city. So today, we celebrate, and we know we face challenges ahead. We know that Lopez and others will continue to try to chip away at our welcoming city policies. We also know that we as a city can do right by our new neighbors and continue the work of reversing chronic disinvestment that BIPOC communities have faced for generations. Because we know that the root causes of generational disinvestment are the same root causes that leave new arrivals in difficult situations when they arrive to Chicago. And we had a lot of alders stand with us today who understood that too. We will hear from a few who have really stepped up and took a lot of leadership with our communities to make this victory happen. So please, put your hands together for Alderperson Jesse Fuentes, Alderman Mike Rodriguez, Alderman Andre Vasquez, and Alderman Walter Bernett.
31-16, you know what that says? We have a city council that believes that we are going to and can do both. We will be on the migrant mission, we will support our undocumented and migrant community, and we will continue to invest in our black communities. The Trump tactics of the right of sowing division between our communities will end. And our vote today was an indication that there is a city council that will not allow those tactics to thrive here in the city of Chicago. I want to be clear. We are a welcoming city. Chicago will always be a welcoming city. And it is thanks to organizations like ICER, thanks to organizers and labor movements on the ground, thanks to solidarity organizations like United Working Families, that allows us to continue to do the work and not allow division to be distracting in all that we have ahead. And so after today, we will continue to be on the migrant mission. We will have the very needed conversations that are necessary to ensure that we are perfecting a process that makes everyone feel affirmed in the city of Chicago, that see the city of Chicago as a place in which they can truly belong. More importantly, we are going to go back to our wards and we are going to do the work. We're going to show our constituents that we are all the people that can show up, show out, and keep our word. We made campaign promises, and we have no intention in violating them ever. And so it's been a grand privilege to be a part of this city council, to have so many leaders like Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa, Alderwoman Julia Ramirez, Alderwoman Helu Gutierrez, Lenny Mana Hoppenworth, Ruth Cruz, Byron Cicho Lopez, our colleague Walter Bernett, Vice Mayor. I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. And Daniel Espata. And so many more that voted to reject a question that will only sow division. Look, we can have critical conversations. We're not saying that we cannot. We don't need a question on the ballot that is going to be weaponized and manipulated to sow divisions in our community. That was the statement that our vote made today. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank every organizer that showed up, every labor movement that showed up and said, we are here with you and we are presente. It is because of you. It is because of you that we can do our work. Thank you all so much and have a beautiful day.
Jesse, 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 Jesse. I'm 22nd Ward Alderman Mike Rodriguez. Thank you. Today is a good day. Today, the city of Chicago, a vast majority of alderpersons stood together and we said no to hate. We said no to division. We said yes to unity. And we said yes to the Welcoming City Ordinance. That's right. The fact is, our city is safer when our brothers and sisters and our neighbors who might be going to church, going to school, going to a grocery store, do not have to fear for potential separation from their children. They don't have to fear potential separation from their family members. Because the fact is, we know it. We have family members here who are undocumented, who have citizen children, and separating families is not what this country is about. This country was made great by migration and immigration, and this city was made great by those factors. And we show today that we will not allow division in our great city. My brothers and sisters, I am very proud to be one of the 31 votes that said no to division and yes to unity. Brevemente en español, mi nombre es Mike Rodriguez, soy el concejal del Distrito 22. Y hoy día votaremos en el Concilio de la Ciudad de Chicago en contra del oído, en contra de división y en favor de unidad, en favor de la comunidad inmigrante. ¡Qué vergüenza a los concejales que votaron en contra de los intereses de nuestros hermanos y hermanas! ¡Qué vergüenza a los latinos concejales que votaron en contra de nuestra comunidad! No vamos a olvidar, que sí o no, no vamos a olvidar a los que estaban en contra de nosotros. Hoy día me alegro estar en el Concilio de la Ciudad de Chicago, que votó en favor de familias inmigrantes, que votó en favor de nuestra comunidad. Y es un gran hecho. Y la verdad, yo estoy bien orgulloso de introducir a un gran amigo. I'm very happy to introduce a leader in our city council, someone who stands for righteousness time and time again. Give a round of applause for Alderman Walter Bernett.
Muchas gracias. So I thought he was talking about somebody else, though. But, in our journey in life, we've experienced a lot of opportunities to be in contact with a lot of different people. Going to Wells High School back in the 80s, with many people from many nationalities, a lot of them that have become our friends over the years, a lot of them were immigrants, right? Then working as a janitor as a teenager, I worked with Mexicans and Polish. So people wonder why I know a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of Polish. It's because those guys used to call me names all the time. And I had to learn to be able to call them names back, right? But those was my friends. And they were just working hard and trying to feed their family and trying to live a life. Right. And they would come here for a better life. A lot of people come here to Chicago for a better life. And don't get it twisted. The Republicans and some folks are trying to twist us up. That's right. Don't get it twisted. The sanctuary city situation don't have anything to do with the Venezuelans coming here to Chicago. Well, only thing the sanctuary city does is don't allow for our government agencies to be involved with deporting people out of the city of Chicago. Right. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that folks can't still come and get people and deport them. I got to tell you, I lost a good friend who was friends with me for over 6 years. We worked together, and next thing I knew, he was gone, right? That still happens in this country and in America. But here in Chicago, here in Illinois, our police, our government agencies do not participate in that. That's right. So people would try to spin this thing like, this is our way to hate on people. This is our way to get rid of folks. You saw the sister from Ethiopia come up here. You got Ethiopians. You got Ethiopians who are undocumented. I had a brother from Belize who worked for me who was undocumented. He became a citizen later on. I love him, his son, Poppy, and his wife. They lived in my community in the West Humboldt Park area on the west side. He introduced me to so many people in my neighborhood who were from Belize, who I thought just was regular black folks, looked just like me, but they were undocumented. There's so many Haitians in our community that a lot of people sleep on, that live here, that work here, that service us, that do things with us. Their kids go to school with our kids, right? They friends with your kids, but they undocumented. But they live here. Don't get it twisted. If we be a part of discriminating against people, discriminating against one of us is discrimination against all of us. And I will also venture to say, if you discriminate and you mess with folks like this, some of the first people that suffer are the darker people. That's right. The people of color. So these things that they're trying to do to mess this thing up and get people to come after people and take all these things out, you can jeopardize a lot of people of color of getting them in trouble or getting them to lose some of the resources and the protections that they have. So don't think it's just about Mexicans. Don't think it's just about one group of people. I have Italian people in my ward. I have Ukrainian people in my ward. I have Polish people in my ward. I have Irish people in my ward. And they are people, Ukrainians, they are people who are undocumented, but they work in all our stores, they service all our communities, they're paying taxes, they do services, so we don't want to hurt those people. Now, if the federal government come after them, that's a different story. But we here in the city of Chicago, we would not be a part of that, and Harold Washington wasn't a part of that. All of our former mayors weren't a part of that. And I'm not going to be a part of that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Alderperson Andre Vasquez, Chairman of the Committee on Immigrant and Refugee Rights. It is a morning of some hope that I want us all to take in. I want y'all to look around. Everybody here, I see some of the signs saying Chicago for all. This is what the city of Chicago looks like. This is what I am going to say is not only the greatest city in the country, it is the one that most exemplifies the values this country claims to have. When we talk about what it means, when we know what's being added by different generations of immigrants that have come decade after decade, and how much better our country gets, Chicago shows that. When it comes to the struggles we all have to face, they are shared struggles. When a black family on the south and west side is wondering why they don't see the investment in their neighborhoods and why their schools have remained closed, that affects us. When somebody who is trans on any part of town feels oppressed, that also affects us because we are all one community and one people. When we have women who are still fighting for their rights and equal pay, that all affects us. And so when we see what occurs in this moment, let's call it what it is. It is intentional division to weaken one people. If you and I are fighting about one issue, it's that much harder to organize about the larger one. We all are a shared community with shared struggle. We rise and fall together. Our prosperity is one together. And so when you look at the division that's happening, understand where it comes from. It comes from those who have historically been in power, and they know that they remain in power. The capitalists, the privileged, those that have been in power remain so when working class people and marginalized people are divided and fighting amongst themselves. Don't fall for the okie doke. It doesn't matter about a question on the ballot. We're going to have tough conversations we need to have regarding accountability, regarding the spending of tax dollars. Those are real questions. I'll partner with anybody in City Council to make sure we have that accountability and transparency. But what you're not going to do is put a question on the ballot to help out your failing campaign, hoping you get some right-wingers to knock on some doors for you. We're not going to have that happen. We're not going to have people of color being worried about being profiled and pulled over and potentially deported, whether they're undocumented or not, because somebody wants to win an election and make it harder for a president to be reelected. We ain't falling for the okie doke. That's not what Chicago does. So whether it's the president right now, or the federal government, or any other government failing its people, in Chicago, the most U.S. city in the country, has to step up. The city of big shoulders has to go shoulder to shoulder to stand up the values of this country. We are going to do it every single time. Chicago's been through worse. We keep continuing to do better, and we're going to continue to do the same. If you want to step up against that, bring it. We'll be here every time. Thank you very much.
What do we want? What do we want? El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. What do we want? Sanctuary. When do we want it?
We already got it. Oh, sorry.
When did we win? Sanctuary. When did we win?
Sanctuary.
What did we win? Sanctuary. When did we win? Sanctuary for who? For all. Sanctuary for who? For all. Sanctuary para quién? Para todos. ¿Para quién? Para todos. ¿Para quién? ¿Para quién? ¿Para quién? Para todos, todos, todos. All right. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Rodriguez, and I'm an organizer with Mi Gente. And we're here today because of the deep roots of Sanctuary in our city. Sanctuary for who? For all. Sanctuary for who? For all. Because we're clear that when the conditions for our people, locally and nationally, prove to be difficult, we can always ground ourselves and remain rooted in the fact that Chicago has always been a sanctuary city. Yes? Yes. And so from the ground up, Chicago has codified this commitment into law through the Welcoming City Ordinance. It's policy that's rooted in organizing. Organizing by showing up to community meetings, to city council, signing petitions, doing actions, writing letters, and speaking up. And so we continue to speak up, as folks have done here today, to strengthen those protections, to defend and protect this kind of policy, because when we say sanctuary for who? For all. So rooted in a legacy of resistance to unjust policies and rhetoric, today we have not allowed right-wing politics to win, locally or nationally, to further divide us and roll back those protections that have been so long and hard fought. So I want to say, shame on the elected officials who before today, and especially today, have voted against immigrant communities. In the midst of a humanitarian crisis, a manufactured crisis, to be clear, instead of working alongside our gente, they have embraced divisive politics, turned their backs on our city's roots, our roots of sanctuary, opting instead to stand behind Trump's anti-immigrant politics and allowing for Abbott's xenophobic and racist attacks against migrant communities to continue to gain traction. Shame on the traicioneros. We will continue to hold elected officials like Beal, Lopez, Riley, Tavares, and more accountable for championing right-wing rhetoric in our city. Not in our city. Nope. Not in our name. Last week, over 150 people, including neighbors and families and little ones, marched and rallied to the door of Alderman Ray Lopez. We showed up to his door to remind him that not only is sanctuary the spirit of the season, but sanctuary is the soul of the city. Sanctuary is the soul of the city, el alma de la ciudad. And that soul continues to depend on meaningful protections against deportations. It's
It depends on investing and funding in our communities and not funding in war, particularly war in exchange for border security. So again, not in our name and not in our city. The soul of Chicago is sanctuary.
Right.
And we will continue to mark a very clear line here in the city of Chicago about what it means to be a sanctuary. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Vivana Baras, and I am a proud leader with Palenque LSNA. Today, thank you. Today is a day of celebration. Today, Chicago's long-standing welcoming values won out. We once again defeated the politics of Trump and Abbott, and now we can add Alderman Lopez to that list.
Right.
Anti-immigrant and xenophobic forces tried to conflate issues and confuse City Council, but a majority of them did not fall for it. The City Council voted no to include an anti-immigrant, anti-migrant questions on March 2024's primary ballot. We thank the City Council members who voted to reject these politics of division. Today, we ensured that solidarity would win. The victory is an important one, not only for this issue, but it is also an illustration of what we can do when we come together to stand up for one another. Because let's be honest, today we came together and won together in the face of a threat. We won on defense through solidarity across the city with Black and brown communities setting the path for this victory. But look at what we can accomplish when our communities go on offense and fight proactively to lift up all disinvested and vulnerable communities. This is what won amazing campaigns led by our allies and partners, such as Bring Chicago Home, Peace Book, Treatment Not Trauma, Paid Leave, and more. So today, while we celebrate another victory, we do not stop here. Today, ICER and its members are doubling down in our efforts to join with and build power alongside all disinvested communities in Chicago and throughout Illinois to advance the vision of collective abundance. Just like we rejected and defeated the politics of division, we reject and will defeat the politics of disinvestment and scarcity. Together, we can fight and organize to lift the needs of all of our communities. And like we saw today, when we organize, we win! When we organize, we win! When we organize, we win!
Thank you all for joining us for this press conference. We want to thank ICER members and allies. Thank you for joining us to share in this win and for committing to continue to fight for policies that lift up all communities. We want to thank our alder people for your leadership within the council and your partnership in organizing to preserve our city's welcoming policies and values. To members of the press, thank you for attending. If you'd like to set up individual interviews with ICER advocates, please contact Brandon Lee, who is right here next to me. Thank you all and have a good day.